Hello.
Hello. Hi, Shannon. Good to see you.
Hello. Good to see you as well.
Hi, Carol. Sabrina. Hi.
Hello.
Hello, Cynthia.
Hi, how are you?
Doing good. I can't
was
see your
the-
face.
Huh?
I can't see your face.
No, I'm trying to see what's going on. I'm having my camera off. And I thought
I'm gonna run to the ladies' room real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. Sabrina, how are you doing?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good.
How are you today?
Okay, how are you?
Good. Good to see you.
You too.
Carol?
Here.
Hi there. How are you doing?
You can tell by my hair that I can't brush my hair yet.
No problem. Like your face like that. Yeah, we are giving 3 more minutes to people to join.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab my lunch with Dorothy. and-
Exactly. Please feel free to share your lunch. Feel free to eat. Break bread when we are doing the discussion. Cynthia, you're muted. You are talking, but you're muted.
I always have the same problem. I like your bracelet. They're very
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's so pretty.
I have it with the rings, the earrings, and the
Ooh, I like the color.
necklace. Yeah, thank you. Hi, William.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Just keeping really busy.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
What makes you busy like that?
Well, we have luckily a new volunteer driver that I'm onboarding, and transportation has been busy with increase of clients.
Yeah, I know.
That's what happens when you keep doing advocacy.
Exactly. Yeah, increase of clients these days. Yeah, even at Mana, we have a lot of people. More
I'm sure
people
you
are
do.
coming, more people need food. Yeah. From my community, I used to talk to people about our food assistance, but most of them were like, oh, no, I don't need food. But right now, they are calling me themselves. They're
Oh,
calling me,
that's funny.
can you put me down for the food? So, yeah.
And I know you guys are probably much bigger than Gettysburg Helps Pantry. I don't know. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, true.
We only have about last month, 500 clients that went to get food.
Wow. 500. I
Other-
think we serve more than that per month. I think we serve like
you probably do.
3,000.
You probably do.
Yeah,
You do the whole county, right? Is that
exactly, the whole
Yeah.
county.
yeah? We don't. That's not 500 is not bad when you're talking about just Gaithersburg.
Exactly, yeah.
So.
Yeah. People are talking about that food stamp ending, that
It's already ended,
emergency
yeah.
allotment.
It ended in March, so it's ended.
Yeah, in March.
Is
Mhm.
this for everybody?
Okay.
March 1st. No one else. The allotment was gone. So
It's already March.
yeah, it's already
We are in
gone.
March.
It ended.
Oh, it's already gone. Okay.
I'm assuming that's going to make pantries be more busy. That's what Gettysburg Help is predicting. But I'll find out next month when I see the reports. Although I don't have nothing to do with the pantry, we have the leaders all meet once a month and report on what is going on with the program. So that's how I know somewhat of what's going on. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
anyway.
someone on this call, Sabrina, was saying that maybe it will be good for us next month to just talk about it.
What, the
Share
food
our
stamp
thoughts about.
stuff?
Yeah, SNAP
Okay.
stuff. Mhm.
There's a lot. I know a lot about it. So,
You know a lot about it. Yeah, we would like to hear from you because we need to hear your experience about it.
yeah, it's sad because they recently for Maryland, I don't know if it's Maryland or the whole country. I think it's Maryland now.
Mhm.
Allowed for hot and prepared meals at restaurants
Mhm.
in Maryland, but only it's Maryland. Only one restaurant, and I think it's in Prince George's. I could check. Is participating, so that doesn't really work.
Okay. So we have to start now. Welcome to everyone. I'm seeing new faces, but it's so good to see everyone on this call. Please feel free to put your information in the chat box, introduce yourself, and also eat your lunch. I don't have anything today. I have only my tea. I forgot my lunch. So feel free to eat when we are talking, please. My name is Aga. For those who don't know me, Aga Mbianda. I'm working with Mana since 2 years now. And this is a place, we are trying to create a safe place where people can just discuss about food insecurity in Montgomery County and find possible solutions for our clients. Last month, we were talking about Black History Month. And if I recall very well, we said that most of us wanted to attend some of the event regarding Black History Month. And we said to ourselves that we will report here, we'll give some feedback. And I want to give the opportunity to us, if you have attended one of those events, to just share what we learned from those events about Black History Month. Only 3 minutes for that. Anyone can go. Did anyone attend any event about the Black History Month? I want to share something about that event.
I was not able to attend.
No problem. Okay, no problem. So if you don't have anything, honestly, I didn't attend any event about the Black History Month, but I know that there were a lot going on about that celebration. And yeah, we said that we're going to talk about the nutrition. This is the nutrition month, and we want to talk about the importance of making choice when it comes to food. And I would like to hear from you. What are your ideas about that? And after that, we will see a very short video about Mana Pantry choice. And then we wrap up at 1 p.m. and end our meeting. So I would like to ask the first question, which is, what is important for you about choice when it comes to food?
Yeah.
Yes, Ellie, you want to say something?
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay. Who would like to go?
I can go. I think for me, there's a couple of things that it's important for me for choice. Number one, foods that I'm familiar with and can eat. So like, for instance, I'm vegetarian. So if I go down to like a family dinner and it's all meat products, then I have all the abundance of choice, but I'm not able to access that because I don't eat meat. So taking into dietary restriction consideration, and also just the food that like is appropriate, or food that I recognize and grew up with, and also making sure that there's abundance of options when it comes to healthy food as well, as long as like sweets that will like make me happy once in a while, you know.
Thank you, Sandra, for sharing. So you mentioned food that you are familiar with. You mentioned options, and I hear something like access to food, because sometimes you need food, but you don't have access to that food. So that's another factor that influence your choice. Yeah. Anyone can go? Anyone else?
Well, I can talk a little bit about, so me personally is just finding good quality food, like fresh foods, and wanting them to be fresh and look fresh and be pretty. I think for me, the cost of those fresh foods are just, ridiculous. And I work full time. And so I know that that is an issue for our community because they can't afford, those fresh produce. And
Yeah.
even having food stamps is, the cost is outrageous now.
Yeah, that's true. Another thing is the cost. Even if I would like to eat something and I don't have the money for that, I will not make a choice. I will just eat what I have.
So you would eat that junk food because it's cheaper. And so
yeah. Sabrina, you wanted to say
Oh,
something.
I was
Thanks,
just
Shannon.
can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So 2 points. One, I think this is a time of continued strain, clearly, as we're realizing, some foods continue to be hard to get and others, just the costs have astronomically gone up. And what does that mean? And how do we, sort of look at, other options? I think I know we've been sort of creative in like, what else can you use besides eggs? Like what can you substitute for eggs that is not as expensive? So on one hand, can look at it as a strain. On the other hand, like maybe it gives us an opportunity to be a little creative or to look at other options. I think there was an article in the Post the other day about, 10 other options you can use besides eggs or substitutes for eggs. And just, so it doesn't solve the problem, but I think there's some innovation possibilities there. And then I think to the point of, eating for nutrition or just eating so that you're not hungry. And I think those are two very different things. And I think oftentimes, just looking at cultural values and looking at gender roles, and women will not eat if that means they can give whatever's there for their kids. And I think that's, probably true for men too, to some extent, but it certainly is a gendered type of issue. And I'm just wondering, on one hand, how we tackle, or what are some conversation about, being able to feed oneself, but also your family, and not having to make that choice. And I think that's a dilemma that we're all in right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Sabrina. But can you explain more about gender related to food choice? I didn't.
So I welcome conversation from others on this call, and certainly opening up to the diversity of opinions and experiences and lived experiences. But I think there was a comment in the chat that I saw. I think about, I think there's a comment Xandra made about, and I'll be glad to send the article about egg alternatives. Yes, I think it was in the Post. That just, mothers have been reporting health issues with their kids because while there's food, it's not the foods that their kids are willing or able to eat. And so that spoke really to the issue of, like, do you just eat what's something there so you're not hungry, no matter whether you like it or not, versus trying to find things that are palatable. So there's that double side to it. But then I think, just looking at the biologic, the biology of giving birth and feeding, and women being able to feed their children, not in all cases, but in cases, right, where you're trying to feed through breastfeeding, and just that sort of pull, that biological pull for women to want to feed their children, right? And not in every culture, right? There's certainly the diversity of cultures where other family members, grandparents and aunts and uncles, contribute to that role. But I think there's such a pull among mothers to want to feed their children.
Yeah.
and when that is not possible due to whatever economic or other circumstances, there's a real feeling of, of failure and stress. And so that's what I was trying to get at. I think that just that nature of how do we as people, try to help families with this great need.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that point. And it speaks to me very well because from where I'm coming from, women are, honestly, they are in the center of everything. When it comes to food, then they are the people who make sure that their family is getting food. And so I can understand what you said about it. And thank you for Sandra about this point, because it shows that when we make the choice, we also think about our culture. I remember when my two boys were in the high school here, they were getting the free lunch, I think. And most of the time they were saying, "Mommy, we don't eat that food. We don't eat everything that they gave us during the lunchtime." And I can understand it because it wasn't something that they know. And it's connected to what Xandra said at the beginning. You eat what you know sometimes. And when you make your choice, it's based on your culture, based on your beliefs, based on your religion, and based on many, many things. So yeah, I can understand that. Anyone would like to say something about what is important for you? Yes, Anna Rose.
That's a good point, Agar, and kind of speaking to what you and Xandra pointed out. When you're in a situation where there's not options that are appropriate for your specific culture or your specific diet or your background, it can exacerbate that experience to make it potentially feel unsafe. And I'm thinking about specifically with migrants and looking for a place of acceptance and inclusivity and safety. Food has the potential to offer that in a lot of different situations. So if you are already experiencing adversity in other aspects of your life, and something as simple as being able to choose what you want to eat and not being able to go for those foods or have the ability to pick something that you grew up with or that was part of your family, then I think it can lead to, further emotional and psychological isolation because you don't have the simple comforts of, the food that your family grew up with or the food that you were eating every day before you moved to a new place. So I think, not only does it create physical ailments like Xandra pointed out, but it also can kind of further make you feel isolated or not accepted or not valued in that space where you're trying to seek out food options.
Totally agree. Yeah. And yeah, we can also link it to what we said before, the access to food. If you don't have access to food, even if you are thinking about your culture, even if you have the money and you don't have access to the food, then it's a problem. You feel if you are hungry, you don't, the cost, we mentioned the cost, we mentioned the culture, we mentioned the access, we mentioned everything that we said, the time, etc. Then it will be very difficult to make a choice. Anyone else would like to go?
This sounds like a case for non-diversity, because if you have all these different kids in school who are used to different things, then you're always going to have a large percentage who don't want to eat what is put out. I have no idea how schools do this. I mean, you would think, oh, maybe they do different things from different cultures and people could have a choice, but I don't know how much they could actually afford to do that. But it just seems like this makes a real conundrum for the school lunches.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember I was in one meeting in the past month, and someone was mentioning that it will be good to also have culturally appropriate food for schools, because we have a lot of diverse cultures there, and we are not sure that everything that we give to people or to kids during their lunchtime is what they know or what they would like to eat. Yeah. Come on. Any other ideas? Yeah, I can see what Zandra put on in the chat. There was one testimony where a mother came on and remarked that her son was losing weight. So they did complain about culturally appropriate food. In response, the organization aiding them started making tacos every day. Most of the migrants, I'm sorry, I can't read it very well, were not from Mexico, though. Wow. And did not grow up eating tacos. I agree completely with Anoris about food related to safety and acceptance. Yeah.
And also, to that point, making potentially harmful assumptions about a group of people without getting clarifying information. So it sounds like in this case, potentially the organization aiding them didn't get enough background information on the groups that they were serving. And I think, yeah, it's important even in spaces like this where we feel like we're learning and we feel like we might be knowledgeable about some spaces, there's always more to learn. And I think, yeah, approaching this with, just making sure that the groups or people that you are collaborating with feel like their voices are being heard and feel like, you're creating a space where people feel comfortable sharing what specific foods they want to eat and what specific foods they are accustomed to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Ana Rose. And I from my experience, I know that you need to hear from people, to listen what people are saying. If you are not just providing things to people without asking them if they would like to have them, that's a problem, because they will take your food and they will throw it away. So it's good to stop at certain point and say, okay, what do you like to eat? What are you used to? Are we able to provide those things? Yeah, because we learn from many projects that when you don't ask people, when people are not participating in the project in terms of their feedback and what are their needs and priorities, then you do it just for nothing, because people will not receive for example, if it is the food, they will not eat what you give them. Any other thought?
I can give a small anecdote from a meeting I attended. It was probably a month or two ago now, but it was with MCPS's wellness coordinator, Sean Sacco, and he was organizing kind of like a student-led group on improving school meals in MCPS. And there were different like community partners there, school partners, and mainly students. And I thought it was interesting that they were kind of working to get the students recipes that they would recommend into the school lunch menu. And so, of course, in Montgomery County, we know that's a huge challenge with how much diversity we have and making sure that all the food is culturally appropriate. So I think some of the perspective there was kind of taking like a global approach and trying to feature different items from different cuisines, because you can't, I guess, 100% of the time serve something that's culturally relevant to everyone.
Yeah,
but in that case, they also had, in addition to like the student requested meals, they were talking about having foods that are considered halal or kosher also be offered, and kind of bringing it down at like the simplest level, just from a from the perspective of like making sure that folks who are vegan also could eat the meals, or have different types of diets. So that was just an interesting experience that I had listening into those meetings, and thought would be useful to share, since there was a couple comments about schools.
Nice. And I also I remember that Cynthia, I don't know if Cynthia can agree with me. Cynthia was sharing something during our meeting. She was saying that sometimes when they work with kids, they ask them what they would like to cook. So it's another way of working with people and take into account their feedback. Because if you ask people, they will say, okay, we know this, we know that, and they agree on the recipe, and then you do it for them. Yeah. Any other ideas?
Agar, I just sent you the article from the Washington Post. I thought it might just be easier. You could send it around to the whole group. So yeah, I just wanted everyone to know that if you don't mind, Agar, that'd be helpful to send around. Yeah.
Thank you, Sabrina. We do that. Thanks. So do you think there is anything to do with mental health when it comes to food choice? There is something to do with mental health, or if people who are going through mental health, how do they make choice? Any thought about that?
I heard Priya was whispering in my ear. She wants to talk.
No, I was
about like one aspect of mental health and food is definitely around foods that can boost your mental health, and like foods that don't make you feel crappy, don't add all these things that make your body feel bad and then make your mental health worse. But I also think that it aligns to with what Anna Rose was getting to earlier about if you are in a situation where you don't have the ability to choose the food that you're eating, and somebody else is making those choices, or someone else is restricting it, making sure that that's like an open and welcoming space too, that you're still feeling like you have power. Because in the end, you have to realize that somebody else is making the decision for you, but at the very least is that person taking into account my feelings and like my thoughts on this. So
yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, that's why at Mana, we are trying to welcome people, because we know that there are a lot of barriers for those who are coming to us, those who need food assistance. And if they don't feel like they're at home, they're welcome, then they will go back and they will stay hungry. So we also need to welcome those who are already here, who access those pantries, and make them feel like they are in their space. Yeah.
I mean, this is Sabrina. I guess the other thing I'd add is, I mean, there's, food is connected to, lots of memories, right? And so people have really good memories around food and holidays and traditions. And then sometimes those events maybe not as good. And so in thinking about the connection between food and mental health, I think, food, good food, makes you feel good. And, food that is low in nutrition probably is going to affect both you physically as well as psychologically. And then you add the layer of your experience when you're having the food. So is it in a setting where you feel welcome? Is it in a setting where you feel, afraid? Is it in a setting where you feel excluded or included? So all of those things, I think, come together and help people make connections between what food they're eating or not eating and their sense of well-being.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Kelly.
Yeah, I think it kind of dovetails into what Sabrina was talking about, but just what came up for me with your question is just the connection to the mental and physical health of the food itself. You know, being able to nourish yourself, and then like what opportunities that opens up for you of like you as an individual thinking about situations differently. Might you engage with people differently? Like, and how would that shape your day-to-day life? And then, you know, on your overall trajectory in life, your development and your quality of life. I think that's a huge thing that is also just kind of blowing up in like the last 10 years of like the impact of nourishment on our physical and mental health, but also, you know, what we're learning to kind of curate how we cure disease and stuff like that, and like what that means to people's health over time. So that was kind of where my mind went, Agar, when you mentioned that question. But it's interesting to hear all these different facets of how food affects everyone's lives. It's really, I'm overwhelmed, honestly, when you're asking these questions. I almost feel like I can't talk because it's overwhelming to think about the impact.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing.
One more thing other than my initial thoughts when I was talking with Sandra that comes to mind. I don't know if folks have seen the movie Inside Out. But I love that movie. I feel like the part of it that like the core memories and how we like, I think it was already mentioned by someone earlier, but how we associate different memories with certain foods, just like music or other things in life that kind of have those feelings. It's interesting to me because when I was in a previous role at Food Corps, we would talk about what is healthy food and the term healthy and like what things are nourishing physically versus mentally or spiritually or other ways. And so when we talk about food being healthy or nourishing, just keeping in mind that it can be a food that could nourish your physical body, or it could be a food that doesn't have as many like vitamins or minerals or nutrients, but can be nourishing in other ways from your like core memories and experiences.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Priya. Yeah, I have that experience because every time that I eat some of my culturally appropriate food, I think about my country, I think about my mother, my grandmom, I think about my family. So it makes me feel that I'm not alone here. I have my family around me. So that's very important.
You know what would be fun to hear what foods make people feel the way you just described, Agar?
No.
Like I'm thinking for me, that would probably be chicken soup.
Chicken soup.
Yeah. But like, so I'm wondering what other people are thinking of, what foods make them feel at.
Oh. We lost you. Is it only me?
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what Carol was saying, it's really nice. I'm thinking about a specific food that we cook with beans, a mix of beans, we grind beans, and that white beans, and we add palm oil, we add salt and hot pepper, and then we cook them in banana leaves for at least 2 hours. It's so delicious, and every time that I cook it, I'm just like that, like what Priya just described. Yeah.
Dorothy has something to share.
Yeah, Dorothy.
You're reminding me myself too. There's certain foods like the bananas we cook in banana leaves, and with the groundnut sauce. When I have that definitely takes me back home to my family, my culture.
Wow.
Very good experience.
Beautiful.
Nice. Thank you, sharing. Who would like to share?
I want to, I'm thinking about this question. I love this question. And I think I have a harder time as I get older thinking about those foods that I grew up eating, because I I don't eat them anymore for the most part. I was a kid growing up in a big Italian American family, and I hated pasta when I was young. Like, I would not eat my grandmother's tomato sauce, which was sacrilegious. I'm surprised my family just didn't like disown me at age 8 because I was snubbing my nose up at my grandmother's meatballs. I mean, nowadays, you know, I do kind of yearn for that connection to my grandparents. And when I have tomato sauce, I do think about her. But I'm also struck by the new connections and memories and like significance I put on different foods now. I think about the fact that I belong to a CSA, so I buy a share from a local farm each year. I try to, and I do that when I do that, when I'm cooking with the food that I get from that farmer. You mentioned, Agar, feeling, I love that, like, this food makes me feel like I'm not alone in this world. What a profound experience that food can provide. And I think, yeah, that makes me feel connected. It makes me feel connected to the earth. It makes me feel connected to that person and persons who are growing the food. And the fact that I've been to the farm where that food grows, I've seen it growing. Nowadays, that's the kind of connection that I think I'm looking for from my food. It's nice to also remember my grandparents, but so I think there's also potential to have those memories change over time, and the significance of certain foods to change over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it reminds me all the stories that I hear when I was doing the listening session with our recipients of food vouchers. So some of them were saying that through the food voucher, the culturally appropriate food that they receive, they see a kind of connection with their culture and what they can also give to their kids, because normally they don't buy those food because they are so expensive, the cost and everything. And because Mana is providing the food voucher, they can have access to those food, and they can also show to their kid that this is our culture, this is how you make that food, this is how you do this. And their parents who moved here because they have their kid here can also eat those food and be happy, just because normally they don't have the money to buy it. So, but when they see it here, they are just, oh, I can see my food, I can have it, I can eat it, I can cook it myself. So that food is just amazing when you can have access to it. Any other thought?
Agar, let me know if I'm talking too much. I'll be happy to stop. But
yes.
One thing that you
you are not talking too much, please.
You just said that reminded me of a little bit more about like why culturally appropriate foods are important. I think especially in like a provider setting where people are, you know, maybe an organization is providing that, is I think it helps the recipients of that food feel more seen and heard, because I think of the way someone might feel when you remember their name, for example, after like a meeting, and you're just like, wow, like that person actually took the time or energy or effort to like learn how to pronounce my name or say it correctly or remember it or whatever. So I think that similarly, like that remembering or inquiring about the food that is in their culture or just in their background or their preference can make people feel like seen and heard like that, which probably connects back to mental health as well.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I agree. So if there is no other thought, I will let Tess share the short video that we have, and maybe after that we'll collect some of the comment about that video.
Yeah, hi everybody. So I recently produced a video looking back at Mana's history with choice pantries. And so choice pantries are our distribution sites where folks kind of shop the distribution kind of in a grocery store setting. And we've seen some really positive benefits to how just like happy participants are to have their choice in what foods come back to them. And so I'm going to share this video. I'm gonna endeavor to share it and share audio, but please sound the alarm if it does not come through very well. Okay. I wonder if I have access. Okay, here. Screen 2, share sound, optimize for video clip. This one, share it, full screen. All right, here we go, guys.
Hello everyone, this is Jackie DiCarlo. I hope you've heard that Mana Food Center is celebrating our 40th anniversary, or as we like to call it, our Mana-versary. We've been using this occasion to reflect on 40 years of service, and we want to share some Mana memories with you. The first memory is around choice pantries. Choice pantries are food distributions where our neighbors choose the food items during the visit instead of receiving a pre-sorted box. The option of choice offers control over what food people bring into their homes. And this gives them a sense of independence for their nutritional and cultural needs. It also results in less wasted food because folks aren't getting what they don't want to take home to their own pantries. In 2014, Mana partnered with Colesville Presbyterian Church to open the CPC Choice Pantry. That was our pilot choice distribution site. The approach allowed the recipients to choose from fresh produce, shelf-stable basics, and proteins. It also became a place to create a sense of community. The response from those who shopped at the Choice Pantry was immediate and positive. The opportunity to choose the items that were right for their family made all the difference. I want to give a big shout out to CPC volunteers and church leadership who were willing to experiment with Mana's vision and really set a standard of hospitality. Supported by the Food for All campaign, 2019 marked the opening of Mana's own market at our Silver Spring office. We designed the location to create kind of a grocery store format, but with a community center feel. So we still distribute fresh produce, shelf-stable basics, and frozen proteins, and these are all stocked and staffed by Mana volunteers and teams. We support about 45 families a day, and the market is attached to a training room where some folks can meet with our own nutrition education team to build some skills for self-sufficiency. The choice model expanded again in August 2022 with the Mana Market at the universities at Shady Grove. This monthly market location supports both students, staff, and faculty, and nearby senior neighbors, providing access to fresh food in an easily accessible, welcoming space. It's a great way for us to combat campus hunger, but also to reach into neighborhoods we weren't already helping out. But our work is far from over. We do have more neighborhoods where we want to have a presence and partnership with groups like Pilgrim Church UCC. Just this month, we opened our 4th choice pantry at Pilgrim Church. Our work has made it clear that partnerships with other organizations to offer choice serve our participants really well. And we're excited to continue sharing food in these welcoming spaces for many years to come. We're really grateful to the volunteers and institutional leaders who make dignified choice possible so that people can eat nutritious, tasty, culturally appropriate food. Thanks for being a part of this.
Thank you. Awesome. Any comment about this great video that Tess made?
This is Sabrina. That's amazing, Tess. I just thank you for putting that together and having it be so uplifting. And as someone who's volunteered for the Silver Spring Choice Market for now a year, has it been a year? Almost a year, something like that. I can verify how true all of what Jackie's comments were about the people that come. It is welcoming. It is open. It is, people are so grateful. They can't believe that this is here. They're literally, some people are, laughing, crying. They're happy. It's such an empowering place to be. And I think there's just so many ways to build upon the model to encourage that sense of inclusion. I think for so long, food pantries were looked at as like this thing you wanted to hide, but now it's out in the open. We all need help. We all need to take advantage of these community resources. And so at the risk of, overwhelming the resources that are available, because the resources are not infinite, I think the more that you can distribute the video and get the word out and talk about this great work, build, the fourth pantry, the sixth pantry, the 10th pantry, right? I think we're on to something. So thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. Any other comment?
I just want to underscore what Jackie says about the Colesville Presbyterian Church experiment and how it really became a community space. I think we knew when we were encouraging the transition to choice that there was a benefit to, as Sabrina is describing, at the market, where humans just being in closer proximity to one another, where there isn't the drive-through dynamic where there's food put in a trunk and then you're sent on your way, but there was actually a time to say hello and learn about each other and inquire about each other's health and well-being and family. And to the point where after, when did she say that started? 2014, after 8 years of the Colesville Presbyterian Choice location, we were seeing the numbers lag at that site, going from 70 back down to like 15 or so at one point. And we wondered about whether it was time to close that location when people who go there regularly got a sense that we might be thinking about that. I think it came because there was a weather closure and we had to close it for one day, and people chose to wait that month. We only served there once a month, all the way to the next day that they could pick up at Colesville. We offered them many other locations they could go to, some of which are choice. And they said, oh, absolutely not. That is my family. They know each other now so well, people see each other out in the community and say hello. Individuals who are coming there to shop, bringing food to share with the volunteers so they have snacks and meals together. It's just, when you go there, and it just feels relevant because so many people were talking about the way food makes us feel connected and how important it is to create an environment where people feel seen and heard. And oh my God, did they do that? They just created this really special place that couldn't exist anywhere else. It's this perfect mix of people. And that really motivated us to keep moving forward with that model because of the potential that exists for it to make connections between people that last for hopefully a whole lifetime, right? So it just blew our minds. I think it exceeded all of our expectations, and I hope that we can continue to curate such an environment, like you said, Sabrina, at the market, at the couple of new sites that were shown in the video. Yeah, I think it's just really important, and I can't ever underscore enough how valuable that has been.
Yeah, thank you, Jenna. Anyone else would like to say something about the video, the market, pantry choice? I know some people who like to drive from Gettysburg to Old Columbia Pike just because they can make their choice. Yeah, so it says a lot to many people because they can exactly take whatever they want to eat, instead of just receiving a bag of food where they are not sure that they will eat everything that they have. And the experience that I had last week from Bethany House, they told me that if we don't help them, then they will not know where to go because Mana is giving them fresh food. They receive food from other organizations, but it's not the same. They say, okay, they give us the food, but we don't eat them. We don't eat, and it's remind me what we said at the beginning, that we have to ask people, we have to talk to people, we have to listen to what they are saying before we give them we provide the service that we have. We cannot do it for everyone. As Priya said, we cannot satisfy everybody, but at least we will have an idea of what people will like to have. Because when we don't do that, then we waste food. We waste food because we give to people what they don't need. Yeah, definitely the market is the best place. And if we can do it for many other sites, that would be great.
We at MANA also are able to, through a grant, offer transportation to and from the markets and other sites, which has been a huge impact on our community, providing that that way of getting the food home and not be stranded with and struggling with doing that on public transportation or by walking. So that's made a big impact. And the reason I point that out is that, not to pat MANA on the back, but which I could do, but it just shows that the organization is not thinking of the choice markets as a bubble, that there are other components to it. And I think we have to look at that and continue to build on that to meet the needs of our expanding communities.
Yeah, thank you, Ellie. Transportation is a very, very, it's very important. And William was talking about it just when we started this meeting. I don't know if you have something to share about it, William.
Well, you may not remember, but my first meeting, I was talking about this. I'm actually an advocate from Montgomery County Food Council's advisory board. And the one thing I'm advocating is for food transportation. Because you know, a lot of times there is not transportation specifically that will help people to get food, unless like they're paying for taxi or whatnot, that people don't drive, which is hard to do when you are low income or disabled. So I've been pushing for that. Even there's even the federal government and the White House has a thing where they want to end food by 2030, but their plan for transportation, which was never in there before till now, and gave feedback and all that, but is to end food transportation as far as food transportation by offering more buses and trains. Well, I don't know if you ever carried food on a bus or train. It don't work for the regular human being, more or less someone who's disabled. So it is definitely a flawed system, and there's a lot of pushback on that. So I am glad that you guys do that. And I know you guys, I've been knowing that you guys do that, but you guys are the only ones that I'm aware of that actually do that. Yeah, so keep up the great work on that. It's what I've realized by advocating for it is I knew it was a big problem because of Gays Help clients. You know, hey, where can I go for food transportation? Well, I don't have someone to send them, unfortunately. Then I started advocating for it from Montgomery County Food Council to see if we can come with a solution for this. There's a lot of pushback from all local all branches of government, federal, state, and local government. But I've also learned that the issue is much bigger than I actually originally thought. You can't end food insecurity without the transportation. You could give people as much food stamps as you want, but if they can't get their food, be it transportation, then it's no good. It just sits on the card and they can't get food, and now they're hungry. So I go on all day. I know we don't have that much time, but I could go on all day. So yeah.
Interesting. Thank you, William.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're very quiet. Please say something.
Is this not the time where we ask for commitments from everybody?
Yeah, it's time. Oh,
my favorite part of every meeting.
Yeah, we have only 4 minutes left. Thank you, Jenna, for reminding me. This is the time to make your commitment. The last month we were saying that we will attend some of the meeting, but unfortunately we didn't. But what our commitment for this topic?
Okay, well, first of all, our commitment last time was to attend one of the Black History Month activities, and I just want to say that I did.
Oh, you did. Oh, you just because you joined the meeting late. We started and no one shared.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Please go ahead, share your.
Oh no, I don't need to share in detail about it, but I can say that it was put on by Impact, and it was and Agar was there too. And it was a series of documentaries about Afrofuturism, which was a concept that I had heard about, but didn't really fully understand. And it was fantastic, I thought. And now I understand a little bit more about Afrofuturism, and we'll look into it further. But I'm happy to share any of the resources that were sent. I mean, ultimately, I think I don't know, Anna Rose, if there's a recording. But I would just say my summary of Afrofuturism is it is a tool to envision a world that is different from what exists currently. And that feels very powerful and is something that I often have a hard time doing. So it was great.
Yeah, thanks. Any commitment? Oh, Afrofuturist. Any commitment about food choice? Anyways, if there is no commitment, I will just say that next month. Yeah, why are you laughing, Jenna? Because
just the tone of your voice is just dripping in disappointment for all of us.
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely I'm interested in learning more about the potential barriers with CSAs that Kelly mentioned in the chat. I'd like to learn more about that and see how it can potentially inform our work and partnerships with people in Montgomery County.
Maybe we can make it a topic. And make it a breaking bread topic in the future.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to say that William and Zandra, they are willing to discuss on the emergency allotment ending in March. Maybe next month we're going to talk about it and hear what people can say, how we can address them, how we can better serve our community members now that they receive a little bit of the money that they were receiving in the past. So William, I will reach out to you. I already talked to Zandra about it, and maybe next month we're going to talk about it, about that issue.
Sounds good. I'll speak on it, whatever it is that I know. Yep, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Any last thought?
Hi, Agar. I just put a link in the chat. There's a bill in the Maryland legislation right now, HB 0628, and I'm sure others on the call know much more about it. I'm not a Maryland resident, but for those that are, this could be an opportunity to reach out to your representatives and just mention to them that it's a bill. Sorry, I'll say what the bill's about. It's a bill to expand school meals and breakfasts, lunch and breakfast. Universally. And so I know that's something we've talked about before. So that's an easy way. This is just a link to the very dry legislative website that tracks the bill's progress. But yeah, that could be a possible commitment. Oh, Jenna says there's a rally tonight. Everybody get to Annapolis.
I'm going if anybody wants to join me.
I have a commitment, but otherwise I would love to have gone.
Next time, Kelly. Next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on that note, I will say thank you for everyone for joining today, and I hope to see you all next month. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Agar.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.